is Conduit News Radio. I'm Paul Harrell. Welcome back to the program, Senator Linda Collins-Smith from District 19. Linda, welcome back.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I am doing very, very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Glad to be on your show the first time since it's the morning show.
Yes, I know. Bright and early, right? I know.
Yes.
Listen, I saw this piece over at Conduit for Action by Mr. David Ferguson. And the headline here, Senator says, show me the prohibition, show me the penalty. This has to do with your letter that you sent to Attorney General Leslie Rutledge asking for an official Attorney General opinion. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think that just as, my history, of course, being a true Second Amendment supporter, and I've just never felt that there was ever a penalty for, not having concealed carry. I have never seen that there was a penalty. I think that's always been our right, and I really believe that our AG will do a good job. Of course, that's my job, is to represent the people, and I requested that as my, official duty as a legislator to ask her opinion on that. And I respect her, and I think that she will honor us in giving us an opinion, and I think that she'll reply to that. And, we just need to wait on that, and I cannot say that there is a penalty.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about okay. So you're talking about in the actual statute, in the actual law that we're supposed to follow. You're saying if you are concealed, if you are carrying a handgun concealed, you cannot see in the law where there's a penalty. Is that what you're saying?
Right. That's correct. And I think that. I think that should clear some things up, and I do not see one, and I have asked for her to give us an opinion on that, and I think that when David did this response to me talking to my constituents and the people of the state of Arkansas, I thought he did a very good article,
mm-hmm.
and excellent, actually. And don't you think it was absolutely excellent?
Yeah, it absolutely is. So here's the background. I'm
going
to read
all the listeners, and I think really for everyone that's listening today, I have to tell you, if you would go look at what we're talking about, that you've got to tell them where to go, Paul, because they've got to look at what we're talking about
mm-hmm.
and read this article.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they've got to understand what we're talking about. He really explains.
Well, we've been conditioned. I think we've been conditioned. I know I was growing up in Arkansas my whole life. If you wanted to carry a gun, you had to go get a permission slip from the government. But
you were. I wasn't.
You were not. Exactly. But I'm saying I was conditioned and institutionalized to believe that. And so the background here, I'm going to read from this article. It's up right now at conduitforaction.org. Before the concealed handgun law was passed in 1995, you were at risk of being charged with the offense of carrying a weapon, whether you carried openly or concealed, and you had the burden to prove in court you were carrying under one of a few narrow exceptions. When passed, the concealed handgun license offered a way to carry concealed without the risk of being charged with a crime. But in 2013, the offense of carrying a weapon was changed so that you weren't in violation of carrying a handgun unless a prosecutor could show you intended to employ the handgun unlawfully against a person. It was soon recognized the 2013 law allowed you to carry openly if you weren't in a place where handguns were prohibited by law or by the property owner. But confusion was created concerning the carrying of a concealed handgun, with some people saying the mere fact Arkansas has a concealed handgun law means you must have a license to carry concealed. The problem with the argument is that it's based on an assumption and not on what the concealed handgun law says. And so that is why, Senator Linda Collins-Smith, you've requested this Attorney General opinion, right?
That's correct. And I think that for me, it's just, there's just not an issue. And so, you don't have people going out arresting people. You do not have people, our state troopers aren't out there writing tickets. And for me, that's just very clear. So there's just not been an issue. There's just not a problem as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you don't see people out there doing that. And so for me, it's just not a problem. But I think that it is a concern for so many people, and there's just so much concern out there. And I think it does cause a problem.
Yeah, if I may, the problem is that we've had statements from the executive branch and others that are promoting this patchwork concept of law enforcement, where you may have a prosecuting attorney or a sheriff or a police chief that interprets the law one way. And so from the concept of the notion of consensus, predictability within our own state, our sovereign borders, I just think the law should treat everyone the same, and we don't have this open-ended, well, if your prosecutor doesn't agree, maybe he's going to charge you and you're going to have to get an attorney. And you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we just, why can't we all admit what the law is if it's the law? I mean, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, shouldn't the law, be enforced the way it's written?
I agree. And I wrote my request, of course, to the Attorney General, the way it was written. And I think that we should get a very clear answer. That should be as clear as it can be. I mean, that should be an easy understanding for the citizens when we get that response. There's only one way to answer that.
Okay.
There is penalty or there is not a penalty. And I think that this is another way to understand this. The executive branch, you have to understand that we have the judicial branch, which will make decisions on whether or not someone has broken those laws. They make the decisions about whether or not an individual has done something wrong. And then there's the legislative branch who makes those laws. And so I have to tell you that the prosecutors know those laws. They know from county to county that the laws are the same. Whenever you're talking about whether someone has broken a gun law, or you see what I'm saying, a violation of those gun laws.
Right.
And so that has the same. Nothing changes on that unless I guess there's some local ordinance. And so the gun laws are the same across the state. Nothing's different.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I mean, if certainly the left would agree. Okay, we want the gun laws to be the same across the state of Arkansas. And so, yeah, I think this is good. Let me ask you this question. In your letter to the Attorney General, do you think there's a risk that she may comment on parts of the law that she's already because she's issued an opinion before that didn't address your specific question here? Show me the prohibition, show me the penalty. So is the way you wrote your letter, was it narrowly focused, this is all the information you want, or do you think she may go back and try to review some of the other stuff maybe she's already commented on in previous opinions?
She's been very, I think my letter addressed some, my letter was very good, and you may have seen parts of that letter or heard about it. So I have written a letter that says, you don't have to go back over those things, because she's addressed part of those things, and sometimes she will not respond. So I had addressed the letter in a way that said, I know you've already addressed these issues, so I'm not asking you to, because sometimes she'll say, I've already addressed that. Mm-hmm. So I said that you've already addressed these issues, and I'm not asking you to address them. So I made that very clear. I was not asking her to go over something she already went over.
Perfect.
But I am asking you to respond to what the penalty is. And so that way I was wanting to make sure that she did respond.
Okay.
And so I have all faith that she will respond to my question, and that was the way I phrased it. Mm-hmm. I was not asking her to go over something she already addressed. That's why I have all faith that she will respond. Well,
I just want to thank you for doing this, bringing attention to this, because it's something that needs to be settled. I'm tired of this. This law was passed in 2013, decriminalizing possession of a weapon, and it's time to stop this patchwork in the fact that I was disappointed with when the governor said, "Hey, check with your local prosecutor." Okay, well, really, I mean, come on, like, shouldn't?
Well, and I think
go ahead.
And I apologize to you, and I want to say that prosecutors know the law, and that law does not change from county to county or from district to district in those those districts, and so that does not change, and they know the laws, and I think that that's why you have not seen a lot of prosecutors go out and prosecute people on different.
Yeah. There's
concealed carry and you don't see that, and that's the reason why. People aren't
they can't get a
violating
conviction.
The law.
Yeah, they're not violating the law. There's been arrests, and then the prosecutors, they put the law enforcement ends up putting these citizens who have not done anything wrong, through the ringer, and eventually the charges get dropped. Anyway, I just want to commend you. Thank you, Senator Linda Collins Smith. But I do want to ask you. Okay, so you've got one of the most conservative voting records in the entire state. You are right on my page on the issues, and you have a primary opponent that I believe these are my characterizations. I believe is loyal to the status quo. I think that your conservatism is what has gotten you a primary opponent from a leftist Republican. So I'm saying all that in preference. You don't have to respond to any of that if you don't want to, but I just want to ask you, Senator Linda Collins Smith, how is the campaign going so far?
Well, I'll tell you, I had an injury, and then I got sick right after Christmas, and so, wow, it was a couple kickstarts in this campaign to take off. But I have to tell you, Paul, we had another fundraising event, and for someone that's had to kick off a couple times to get started, I have to say it's been going very well. And so all I can say is it's going to be a great 2018. So the motor's running, and we're ready to get going again. So I'm excited about what's fixing to happen. And as a conservative, that's what the people of my district have wanted. I've kept my word for those people, and it's great to have them call and check on me. So I'm so proud that they know I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So I feel great, and things are good for the people of Arkansas. They want conservatives. You know that, right? We have a conservative state, and they want those legislators out there. So for all of you that across the whole state that want conservatives, get out there and turn out and vote for them. Go out there and get ready to go get them elected, because that's what you want. So you're going to have to go help them, not just me. And so I'm glad to hear you, Paul. I'm proud to hear of the things that you guys are doing in your organization, and I thank you for what you do. And you've got folks out there that want those legislators and those folks in all of the offices across the state elected. So thank you for your help in helping those candidates get elected.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. Senator Linda Collins Smith, you have a great weekend. Thanks for starting the beginning of it with us right here, Conduit News Radio, and be safe, okay?
Thank you, now. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Folks.